future Yenching scholars, this message is for you. We are in quarantine at the moment. Let's make this time useful. Application season is right around the corner. Let's get these apps crisp ready to be sent out, and let's go to China, study abroad. If you've been on the Yenching Academy's website, the steps, what they're looking for in terms of a perfect applicant is rather vague, particularly speaking the personal statement. So in this video, I'm gonna go into detail point by point on the steps that's gonna get you to have a perfect application. So let's get started. I've received a lot of competitive scholarships in the past, and I realized the key to getting any scholarship is to look at it as an investment, not a scholarship. Flights, classes, tours, language tutor, degree, tuition, all that stuff will probably amount to maybe between 30 and 50,000 USD. They're giving you money essentially to come to China. So essentially when you write your essays, don't spend a lot of your time praising the Yenching Academy. They know they're an amazing academy. They know they have a lot to offer. The Yenching Academy is investing in you, right? So why is it that you matter? Look at it from that perspective. The academy exists. They have something that you want. You need their investment and they need to invest in you. So what I mean about mindset is that you're going to get into that zone of convincing them. This is why you're going to give me your $30,000 to $40,000. This is why I deserve to be a Yenching scholar. And that application has to be written China all over. It has to be very clear, crisp, because I think when you look at it that way, you have to force yourself to answer the why question versus the how. Why is it that Yenching needs to choose you? They want to know that when they take that investment and put it in you, it's not going to stop after the completion of your studies at the Yenching Academy. They want to know that the investments in you is going to be going to high places. And I'll tell you exactly what I wrote in my application to kind of give you an idea of what you should be thinking about in terms of not being basic and really focusing on that investment factor. If you look on the website, you have to write a personal statement of 750 words. Within this personal statement, you're obviously talking about who you are, where you come from, and why China. So essentially, what I said is, I have been involved in China for the longest time. I was a born recipient. I received the Gilman Scholarship. These are competitive scholarships in the United States to fund languages critical to U.S. national security. Now, I have been following the trajectory of diplomacy for the longest time. I studied Chinese. I was funded by the U.S. government to study Chinese. And so essentially what I said is I want to be a diplomat. But you cannot just be any diplomat. Think about the investment factor. You need to be that diplomat. I want to be the first African-American appointed ambassador to the U.S. Embassy in China. Here's how this investment is going to take me to get there. Now, that is the theoretical framework of my personal statement. I am China related. I've learned Chinese at Zhejiang University. I've also studied in Harbin. The gap in my knowledge is politics. I studied international relations from an American perspective. But in order to be able to understand China in the hoped for position that I want to be in the future, I need to understand international relations from a Chinese perspective. So this is how this program is going to help me. So I would suggest really looking at the Yenching Academy and looking at the professors and their specialties and kind of build upon their specialties and say, okay, this is what I want to gain, this is what I want to do, this is what I have done, and then really make that connection as to why Yenching needs to be the next step in your academic or career trajectory to take you to the next step to bring you closer to realizing that career or academic aspiration of yours. In my case, in my application, I said, immediately after the Yenching Academy, I have to fulfill my service requirement as a Boren Scholar. So as a Boren Scholar, I want to go to work in the Peace Corps. I also am thinking about going back and doing another master's. As I said, I want to study, get a degree in translation. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do, but basically for this particular purpose, I had to really narrow it down. A practical way to kind of get your story to make sense in terms of the Yenching Academy is really understanding what they want. The Yenching Academy, they want people ideally who have a background in China. Someone who has studied China, someone who has a keen interest in China, regardless if you go into academia, journalism, non-governmental organization work. For some, your life, for the rest of your life, you're gonna have something to do with China. Or you want your life to have something to do with China, remotely. At the root of who I am, of my existence, I'm a bridge builder. This is another reason why I have this YouTube channel. I build bridges between people. For the longest time, I've done that through languages. The Yenching, what they're gonna give me, are the essential tools that I need to be able to build bridges between my country and China. In the United States, I have an extensive career in Chinese language, Chinese literature, Chinese culture, etc. The gap in my knowledge is I don't understand the politics. How can I expect to be the first African American appointed ambassador to the US-China, the US Embassy in China, when I don't understand China's understanding of, like, for example, South China Sea or other issues? Do they perceive it as offensive or do they perceive it as defensive, right? Putting myself in spaces where I can acquire that understanding and I'm forced to consider their side of the story is conducive to being a good diplomat, it's conducive to being a good journalist, etc., with the intention of building bridges. So I encourage you to really think about this as a thesis, because obviously they're going to be testing you on your critical thinking skills as well as your writing skills. What is the theoretical framework of your essay? Mine was building bridges between countries and continents, between China and the US. That's still what it is to this day, and I've taken it onto another platform, which is YouTube. What is yours? Why China? Why is it that you need to go to China? What are you going to gain from your experience? And how is it that you're going to take this investment they're making in you and better the world? 2 years from now, they're going to see, John Doe. John is going to be running a think tank. John is going to be doing this, and they want to say, okay, he was a Yenching scholar. They want to be able to say that. I think any scholarship wants to be able to be proud of the fact that the people that they invested in are in high places. So look at it that way. And mind you, even if you don't have experience in China, you need to write a compelling application as to why China matters. You could come from somewhere, for example, from Burundi or South Africa, or you can come from Brazil, right? Think about the Belt and Road Initiative. Why is it the best time at this moment to come to China? Particularly speaking now after COVID-19. How has COVID-19 damaged international relations, right, between China and other nations? How do you want to be a part of bettering and mending that broken relationship? What is your vocation? Really let that shine in this personal statement. Make use of it, chop, cut, but really it has to make sense. I think the best way to end the personal statement is reiterating, where do you hope to see yourself in the future? Reiterate to them that this investment that they're making in you, it's not going to stop when you complete your studies. Again, to reiterate, answer the why question, not the how. Why is this scholarship going to be a monumental experience for you? Why is this scholarship going to help you get where you need to get? 2, really understand who you are, where you're coming from, even if you don't have a background in China. I'm telling you, there were so many people that I studied with who had never been to China, who had never studied Chinese, who had nothing to do with China, and they got in just like everybody else. Why is it that your goal, and why is it that your hopes and the goal that you want for the world, why is it that those things matter? And finally, wrap it up by telling them that this investment that they're making in you will not stop. It's going to be a win-win win-win situation. You get the experience to come to China, you get to learn everything they want to teach you, and you're going to take that education and you're going to employ it, and you're going to impact the world in some way, shape, or form. Next thing is a CV. Your personal statement is your cover letter, essentially. Your cover letter, your personal statement, is supposed to complement your CV. But obviously the things that you talk about in your personal statement need to be reflected on your CV. But let the CV speak for itself. I would say the best thing is to make use of your time, really going into detail about the most important factors on your CV that show that you're heading in a direction that is going to put you in a place where you're going to be making monumental changes on planet Earth. Really, on my CV, I made it so that you can clearly see that I have been doing this from being a server at Red Lobster, serving tables, getting people skills, right? Working with people, all the way up to building bridges in my study abroad program in Zhejiang University when I was a junior in college. Getting the scholarship is the next step. And post this program, what's going to come after that? This position, next position, that position, right? So that has to be very clear on your CV. My professor, who basically studied at Princeton, she did some intensive research, and I asked her to write me a letter of recommendation to basically showcase how she sees my academic success and my professional potential to be the ambassador that I hope to be. So who can speak to your success? And the second person who wrote my letter of rec was a diplomat. And he could definitely speak to my potential. So not only did I have a CV really outlining my trajectory, and a cover letter, which is the personal statement, my letters of rec, it's like the what's it called? The Trinity, right? I'll have to compliment you and bring you to the table. So they want to see people really showing you off, and why is it that you are the next person that needs to be chosen? They need to see your potential to be a leader. So that there is key. You're supposed to be the brightest cookie in your class, right? And that's exactly what the Yenching is. Every cohort is a collection of some of the brightest students on planet Earth, and they put them in a room and they force them to engage with one another. They talk about all topics, which is why I said in a past video that none of your conversations will be mundane. All right, folks, so what I wanted to do in this very short video, I wanted to contextualize it and be as completely transparent as possible about what they're expecting, because I do think that the website is particularly vague, and it's vague for a reason. They want to see how you make use of the 750 words, you know, to really sell yourself, and they want to see creativity in that. I wanted to make this video to give people tips as to how to really concretize a strategy, because now I think it's becoming more and more competitive. As a second cohort scholar, you can do this, you're gonna join the community, but really make use of this time, really understanding where you are on your roadmap. Why is it that the Yenching Academy is the next step on that roadmap? Where do you see yourself in a 5 to 10 year span? And answer the why questions versus the how. And really let your leadership potential shine in that application. It's a wonderful program. They were the best 2 years of my life, and I think everybody should apply to the Yenching Academy. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to message in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if you have video requests, particularly speaking about the Yenching Academy, I will go and I will make those in the future, okay? So thank you so much for watching. Good luck. Jayo!